Genetically modified foods are developed and marketed because there is some perceived advantage either to the producer or consumer of these foods. This is meant to translate into a product with a lower price, greater benefit in terms of durability or nutritional value, or both. Initially, GM seed developers wanted their products to be accepted by producers and have concentrated on innovations that bring direct benefit to farmers and the food industry generally.
I can develop new varieties of beans using relations of beans. I can improve genetically sorghum or guinea corn using relatives of guinea corn. Now, this new technique entails crossing over from sorghum to beans, or from rice to beans, or vice versa. Then people said, since this thing does not occur frequently in nature, then we need to be careful to study whether or not it is going to have some problems. And it was understood. So there are measures to test the health status as food and feed, and also it is safety to the environment.
The GM crops currently on the market are mainly aimed at an increased level of crop protection through the introduction of resistance against plant diseases caused by insects or viruses, or through increased tolerance towards herbicides. Resistance against insects is achieved by incorporating into the food plant the gene for toxic production from the bacterium Bacillus thuringiensis, otherwise known as Bt. This toxin is currently used as a conventional insecticide in agriculture and is said to be safe for human consumption. GM crops that inherently produce this toxin have been shown to require lower quantities of insecticides in specific situations.
For most crops, Nigeria is doing less than 30% yield per hectare. So the whole idea first is, how do we grow more food, enough food, without even increasing the hectare of land that we are using? So it is about the knowledge, and I'm not talking GM knowledge. Growing the same crops that our farmers, our women, hardworking women and men farmers are growing, is about how do we help them to grow smarter, requiring using water more smartly, like drip irrigation. Even where they are using fertilizer, how do you apply fertilizer with precision, not the way we spray, and in the end most of it go into the water body and pollute. How do we help them to survive the heat? Even simple knowledge like mulching and all of that, how do we help farmers so that their crops don't? How do we provide timely information, especially climate information?
While theoretical discussions have covered a broad range of aspects, the three main issues debated are the potentials to provoke allergic reaction, gene transfer, and outcrossing.
Some they say, no, these materials, if these materials is released because it's transgenic, there's every tendency for this material to be harmful to the non-target organisms. So we address all that concern through the kind of research that we conducted called non-target organisms. We did that one for several years in Zaria, and also Aminjibur and Bakura site. We found out that this gene has no effect with the non-target organisms. So it has no effect with the non-target organisms. And also there are other concerns. Maybe some they say, if you release these materials, it may also affect in terms of gene flow. So it may also come and there's a kind of unintended marriage. So the pollen will take from the transgenic to non-transgenic or to even to wild type. It become a superweed. Then based on that, we also initiated a kind of study which is called a seed density trial. So with that one, we conducted it with a wild type, conventional cowpea, and then also the transgenic one. So we did it for about 4 years in Zaria, where we left it uninterrupted. But we realized that there was no evidence of a kind of gene flow that will make the transgenic or conventional to become a superweed. So we have also addressed that one. Then another one, they say, this your coffee variety, because it's transgenic, it may have a kind of an allergens. So that concern also, we try to address it, where we conducted a kind of compositional analysis, where we analyze both the grains, the fodder, the leaves, the fodder, which is the stems, and also the grains. We tested kind of approximate analysis based on the nutritional content. There's no different from the conventional one. So also in terms of phytate level, which is anti-nutritional factor, phytate acid, we also, if it is too much in the cowpea, it may have a problem in terms of digestion for both animals and also human beings. So we also conducted that test, both grain and fodder, the leaves, and also the stems of the cowpea. We have done all that. The study was monitored by the NBMA, that's Nigeria National Biosafety Management Agency. Also, the result was submitted to them. It was reviewed, and they confirmed that the gene has no effect on both environment, non-target organisms, and also for human, both animal and human, as a food and feed for both human and animals.
For consumers to be able to exercise real choice, campaigners say it is obvious that the labeling program should fulfill this role. However, if ordinary and natural seeds are contaminated with GM seeds, people who wish to avoid eating GM foods will be deprived of choice. And they're asking the government to define who bears the responsibility should something go wrong.
Owned by Nigeria, is a Nigerian government-owned research. It does not belong to any multinational for that matter. And Nigerian seed laws are well explained. The federal government of Nigeria has structured the economic policy towards seed acquisition and who has it. And these particular beans is not having any exception that will make any multinational dominate over the seed supply and how it is going to be used.
We have representation and we have regular consultation. On this specific issue, there's never been any consultation. We have not had our parliamentarians go to their various constituencies to discuss these issues. We have not had the national orientation agencies informing us about this. Government don't sponsor ads in the media to say, we are having this challenge, this is the solution we are introducing, we have heard about this possible implication, but this is how we want to allay your fear. It's not there. Government has just decided, go and eat this. So 20 years down the line, if we now start to learn new things about this solution and some problems then emerge, how do we deal with it? Who is going to be paying compensations? What compensations will we pay for perhaps diseases that are not curable, or perhaps for lives that would have been lost, or some other implications that we might have? So if we took the decision together, then we know that way. But if some people took the decision on our behalf, then we will feel that people have betrayed us.
The anti-GMO campaigners say that the argument that GMO seeds are the only way to feed the growing world population is an emotional blackmail, saying in those countries where people are starving, lack of food is hardly the main cause of hunger. They say there exists a need to create a sustainable livelihood for everyone. From the Prince of Wales to notable scientists and politicians around the world, many are warning that companies developing genetically modified crops risk creating the biggest environmental disaster of all time. The release of GMOs into the environment and the marketing of GM foods have resulted in a public debate in many parts of the world. This debate is likely to continue, but the big question that every scientist, politician, businessman, and consumer must answer is, on the long run, are GMOs good for man and environment? That's our program for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next week.